Tiger Woods is now facing a major decision: whether Brooks Koepka will be allowed back onto the PGA Tour.
Breaking news on this Friday: Brooks Koepka has applied for reinstatement of his PGA Tour membership.
Have chosen to go to LIV and to play on to play there. I disagree with it. I think that what they've done is they've turned their back on what has allowed them to get to this position.
Koepka has officially filed his application for reinstatement, while behind-the-scenes executive Brian Rolap technically makes the final decision. He's being advised by a newly formed future competition committee, and sitting at the head of that committee is Tiger Woods. But here's where things get interesting.
PGA Tour could do here, they could obviously open the door and go, come on Brooks, come back to the PGA Tour. Or they could also set that precedent of making the player sit out and take a one-year ban and maybe playing a different tour, as we mentioned, at the DP World Tour before he comes back in. But I see this as a major advantage because of how fractured the game is.
Tiger's the same man who famously walked away from an eye-watering $700 to $800 million to remain loyal to the PGA Tour when the LIV Golf storm was at its peak. Now, in a twist no one saw coming, he holds real influence over whether one of LIV's biggest stars, someone who reportedly accepted more than $100 million to defect, can simply return as if nothing ever happened. And this isn't just a call about one golfer. The outcome of this decision could redefine the direction of professional golf and force everyone to confront a bigger question: does loyalty to the tour still carry real weight, or has it become just another bargaining chip?
Waiting for guaranteed money. What is the incentive to practice? What is the incentive to go out there and earn it in the dirt? You're just getting paid a lot of money up front and playing a few events and playing 54 holes.
Let's rewind for a moment and look at how we even reached this point, because this story has layers that most casual fans never fully grasp. When LIV Golf burst onto the scene in 2022, fueled by what looked like limitless Saudi backing, players were suddenly forced to make a decision, and the stakes were immediate. The PGA Tour had long been their home, the proving ground where careers were forged and legends were built through decades of relentless, week-after-week grinding.
News in the world of golf late last night. Five-time major champion Brooks Koepka has quit LIV.
LIV offered something entirely different: guaranteed paychecks, no cuts, 54-hole events instead of the traditional 72, plus team formats and long-term contracts that made even the richest players on tour pause and rethink everything they thought they understood about professional golf.
I'll be honest with you, I signed up for the dough. I'm 100% behind that. I don't know, tomorrow I can go get in a car accident and never play golf again, but my family's taken care of. And that was a big thing for me, not doing it for anything else.
Koepka chose the guaranteed money, reportedly securing well over $100 million to join what many labeled the Rebel Tour. The PGA Tour did not take that decision lightly. He was suspended immediately, along with every other player who defected, for 2 full years. The punishment was absolute no PGA Tour events, no tour-based qualification routes, nothing. Koepka had made his choice, and from the tour's perspective, he would have to live with the consequences. The first wave of departures to LIV was a shock to the system. Phil Mickelson went first, and once that door opened, the floodgates followed. Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, and eventually Brooks Koepka all made the jump. Each announcement landed like a gut punch to loyalists who still believed in the traditional structure and values of professional golf.
Action to Brooks Koepka filing for reinstatement.
No big surprise, Rich. There have been some reporting and some rumblings over the last year or so that Brooks wasn't all that happy necessarily on LIV Golf. I think that we've seen over the last few years that, but for a handful of players, maybe Bryson DeChambeau most notably, a lot of the players that have gone to LIV have not kept up their competitive energy from when they were on the PGA.
Commissioner Jay Monahan didn't mince words when LIV Golf emerged. He suspended the defectors and made it clear that choosing LIV meant burning bridges with the PGA Tour. The message was simple and firm: you can't have it both ways. You can't take guaranteed Saudi money and still expect to show up at PGA Tour events whenever it suits you. At the same time, the tour made internal changes, rolling out elevated events with bigger purses and tighter fields to keep its remaining stars satisfied and stop the bleeding. Brooks Koepka's decision to leave stood out because of timing. He didn't jump in the first wave. He watched others defect, saw the backlash, understood the consequences, and still decided the money was worth it. By the time Koepka signed with LIV in June 2022, the battle lines were clearly drawn. There was no confusion about what leaving meant, and he went anyway. That's why the current situation feels so explosive. Fast forward to late 2024, and something quietly shifted. The PGA Tour and LIV's backers at the Public Investment Fund began serious talks about a partnership or merger. Details remain murky, but reports suggest returning players could apply for reinstatement. The door wasn't wide open, but it cracked. LIV had money but lacked legitimacy. The PGA Tour had history but lost stars. When neither side wins cleanly, peace talks follow. Koepka, still elite and a major winner since leaving, stepped through that door.
Who have chosen to go to LIV and to play on to play there. I disagree with it. I think that what they've done is they've turned their back on what has allowed them to get to this position.
Unless you're deeply plugged into golf's administrative inner circle, the name Brian Rolapp probably doesn't mean much to you, and that's exactly the point. Rolapp is a senior PGA Tour executive who operates largely behind the scenes, working on policy, competition structure, and long-term strategy. He isn't the commissioner. That role still belongs to Jay Monahan. But when it comes to player eligibility and how the competitive framework of the tour is enforced, Rolapp carries real authority. In Brooks Koepka's case, he is the man formally responsible for the decision. But the real story isn't Rolapp's signature at the bottom of a document. It's who he has to consult before that decision is finalized. Rolapp is expected to lean heavily on the Future Competition Committee, a group created specifically to help shape what the PGA Tour will look like going forward. And the chair of that committee is TigerWoods. That detail alone changes everything. Think about the symbolism for a moment. TigerWoods reportedly turned down somewhere between $700 and $800 million to stay loyal to the PGA Tour during the height of the LIV Golf chaos. He didn't just stay quiet and ride it out. He stepped into governance, joined the board, and took an active role in defending the tour's structure, legacy, and competitive standards. This is the same TigerWoods who repeatedly spoke about protecting what the PGA Tour represents. And now, he has influence over whether one of LIV's most high-profile defectors gets welcomed back or told to continue on the 54-hole circuit he chose. If you were writing a movie script, it might feel too on the nose. The most loyal star of the modern era now helping decide the fate of one of the biggest defectors. It's almost poetic. The Future Competition Committee isn't just Tiger, of course. Reports indicate it includes other influential players and tour officials tasked with advising on major issues like competition format, eligibility rules, and the tour's long-term direction. The committee was formed in 2024 as part of broader restructuring efforts meant to give players more say in how the tour operates. Still, Tiger's role as chair carries unique weight, not just because of his title, but because of who he is and how vocal he has been throughout the LIV split. When Koepka's case reaches that table, Tiger's opinion is going to matter a lot. Tiger doesn't represent just another voice in the room. He represents an entire philosophy of professional golf. He's the player who reshaped the sport, brought unprecedented money, global attention, and cultural relevance to the PGA Tour, and still believed deeply in the grind of weekly competition. He could have taken a near billion-dollar deal and walked away without ever needing to explain himself. Instead, he stayed. Every time LIV came back with bigger numbers, Tiger said no. He believed in earning your place week after week, season after season. Now comes the moment that tests that belief. Sitting on this committee means deciding whether players who rejected that model should be allowed back into it. The decision-making process itself is layered and complicated. Rolapp technically has final authority, but he doesn't operate in a vacuum. The policy board, advisory committees, and legal frameworks all exist to provide guidance. And this is where things get messy. The PGA Tour is trying to balance competitive integrity, business strategy, player relationships, sponsor expectations, and fan sentiment all at the same time. Each group wants something different. Sponsors want star power. Television partners want compelling storylines and strong ratings. Many fans just want to see the best players competing against each other again, while others want consequences to mean something. And the players who stayed loyal want a clear answer to one question. Did loyalty actually matter? There are essentially 3 paths forward, and each sends a very different message about what the PGA Tour values. The first option is full reinstatement. Koepka returns, pays whatever fines or penalties the tour decides on, and slots back into the schedule as if the last 2 years never happened. It's the most player-friendly outcome and the clearest signal that the tour is ready to forgive and move on if it means reuniting elite talent. But it comes with a cost. The second option is conditional reinstatement. Koepka is allowed back, but with restrictions, probationary terms, limited access to certain events, or a significant financial penalty that makes it clear this return wasn't free. This middle ground acknowledges that leaving had consequences while still offering a path back. For many observers, this feels like the only option that doesn't completely undermine the tour's credibility. The third option is outright rejection, roll-up, and the committee could look at the application and say no. You made your choice, now live with it. This would send the strongest message about loyalty and consequences, but it could also spark backlash from fans and partners who want the best players competing together. From a purely competitive standpoint, Koepka belongs on the PGA Tour. He has proven that repeatedly. He has won majors since joining LIV and remains one of the most dangerous players in the world when he's healthy and focused. His ball striking is elite. His iron play is sharp and under major championship pressure. He's been as reliable as almost anyone of his generation. But this decision isn't just about golf. It's about precedent. If Koepka walks back in with minimal consequences, it sends a powerful message. You can take guaranteed money, skip tour obligations for 2 years, and return whenever it becomes convenient. That's the core argument against an easy reinstatement, and it's one TigerWoods understands deeply. Precedent may be the most important factor of all. If the tour allows Koepka back with barely a slap on the wrist, it tells current players that loyalty is optional. Why turn down a massive LIV offer if you can just come back later once the politics settle? Players who stayed loyal and turned down life-changing money would have every right to feel betrayed. Rory McIlroy, who became the public face of resistance to LIV, would look like he held the line for nothing. Once that credibility is gone, it doesn't come back. At the same time, there's a strong business argument for reinstatement. Fans want the best players together. Majors are better when Koepka is in the field. Regular tour events draw more attention when names like his are on leaderboards. Ratings, sponsorships, and engagement all improve when elite talent isn't split across rival tours. The timing adds another layer of complexity. Koepka's application comes while the broader PGA Tour LIV situation is still unresolved. Framework agreements have been discussed. Negotiations have been reported. Jay Monahan has faced scrutiny. But nothing has been finalized publicly. LIV still exists. Suspensions still stand. The endgame remains unclear. Koepka's application forces the tour to address reinstatement before the bigger picture is settled. And then comes the next domino. If Koepka is approved, does that open the door for others? Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson. Does it become a quiet migration back to the PGA Tour? Or is Koepka treated as a special case because of his continued elite performance and major championship relevance? The first decision becomes a blueprint for everything that follows. TigerWoods hasn't commented publicly, and he likely won't until after a decision is made. But when the committee meets, his perspective will shape the room. He is widely seen as a tour's conscience player who chose loyalty over money and earned the right to define what loyalty should mean. When Tiger speaks, people listen. This decision isn't just about Brooks Koepka. It's about power, precedent, and legacy. And whatever happens next may define the next era of professional golf.